From folklore and fairies,
to monsters and mysteries, it came from the Maritimes.
Here's Johnny. Oops, never mind, it's my co-host Evan.
Memento Mori, my co-host Chelsea.
Hi everyone, welcome to It Came From The Maritimes. Today we're going to be discussing Darling's Lake, a peaceful place on the southern tip of the province of Nova Scotia, known for its beautiful lake and the spirits that haunt its shores. Evan, I know you've spent some time on the South Shore bird watching. Have you ever visited Darling's Lake?
I don't think I've ever been there. I'm kind of looking it up now because I'm curious if I've been around, but no, it doesn't look like it.
No, it's pretty much as close to the southern tip of Nova Scotia as you can get.
Yeah, I was about to say it's just like a little north of Yarmouth there, isn't it?
It is.
I mean, I don't make my way to Yarmouth much.
You are missing out, my friend.
What can I say?
Now, before we dive into the ghost stories today, I do have a fun fact since we recently covered the Miller Lake Dragon. Apparently, Darling's Lake has its own summertime lake monster called Darlene.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, so I thought that was kind of fun. Darling's Lake is a small community just north of Yarmouth. It was named in the late 1700s by Colonel Michael Ashley Darling. He was a member of the Annapolis garrison who was sent to inspect the area. After camping there for a few days and taking in the scenery, he decided he liked it so much that he named it after himself. People have reported frequent paranormal occurrences in this area, and today we'll be sharing the story of two of the hauntings often experienced there.
I gotta say, is it Peter Pan where they have the Darling family?
Yes.
I love Darling as a last name. It's just like, oh, hey there's Darling.
Right? It's a very pretty word.
I know, it'd just be like, oh, what a cutie. I mean, maybe as a colonel in the military, not as ideal, but you know.
Yeah, it's not necessarily menacing if that's what you're going for.
But like Wendy Darling and Peter Pan.
Yes, it's
Fitting
a nice
name.
name. Now, the first story I'll be sharing today is the tale of the Lady of Darling's Lake. There have been many sightings of this spirit over the decades, on the water and along the lake shore. Those who have spotted the Lady of the Lake see the specter of a woman with long white hair and a long white dress. All who encounter her report being overwhelmed by a profound sense of sadness and foreboding. Vernon Oickle shares a few encounters with the Lady of the Lake in his book Ghost Stories of the Maritimes. So the first is from the 1990s, when two men were driving around a bend in the road along Darling's Lake at 2:30 in the morning. They were shocked to see a woman with long white hair and a long white dress standing in the middle of the road. She appeared so suddenly that they couldn't stop in time, and both men braced at the last second as their car collided with her. They were surprised, though, that they didn't feel any impact. They pulled over immediately and used flashlights to look for her in the surrounding ditch, but they couldn't find any evidence that anyone had been there at all, and their car was completely unscathed. 2 years later, the same driver was traveling along the road when he saw the woman standing on the shore of Darling's Lake. He stopped as soon as he spotted her and approached her, but as soon as he moved towards her, she disappeared. Spooky, eh?
Yeah, no, that's nice that they didn't hit someone with their car, but that would be so alarming when you're expecting to hit something and then you just don't.
Yeah, it's just nothing.
Yeah, jeez.
Now, the Lady of the Lake has often been sighted crossing the lake itself, hovering just above the surface of the water. One person spotted her on a windy night and was shocked that, although strong gusts of wind rushed across the lake, the woman's long white hair and dress stayed completely still. So this reminded me of the vampire of Inganesh, when the man was spotted standing on the cliff during a storm, but his cape wasn't moving.
Yeah, exactly. It's as if the environment isn't affecting them.
Yes, oh, it's so creepy.
Mm-hmm.
So the person who spotted the Lady of the Lake on the lake that day said that she was overwhelmed by a strong feeling that the ghost was looking for someone. Another person who saw the Lady of the Lake saw her hovering over the middle of the lake, and they were overwhelmed by a strong sensation of sorrow. When they tried to call out to the spirit, she disappeared. So, who is this lost spirit? No one seems to know. Maybe our next story will provide some answers. One of the most famous buildings in Darling's Lake is the Churchill Mansion. It's a great family estate which operated as an inn for years. Now, I could not determine if they are currently accepting bookings, but if anyone knows differently, please let us know so we can go visit ourselves. So let's talk about the history of the Churchill Mansion. Aaron Flint Churchill was born in Nova Scotia in 1850. He gained great recognition at age 16 when he successfully jury-rigged the rudder of a struggling ship 8 times during a storm, allowing it to arrive safely at port. He became a ship captain by age 21, but 3 short years later moved to Savannah, Georgia, where he became well known for his line of steamships. At one point in time, he was known as the richest Canadian in America.
That's quite the title.
It is. Now, Churchill married his second cousin Lois, as you did back then.
As you did.
Well, they did.
They did.
Now, sadly, these two could not have children of their own, so they adopted their niece Lottie. Churchill missed the crisp coastal air of Nova Scotia, so he decided to build a summer home in Yarmouth in 1890. He called it the Anchorage. It was built on a piece of prime real estate high up on a hill with a view of Darling's Lake. Churchill's arrival in Yarmouth was always a grand affair. He would arrive on his own personal steamship and have his belongings brought to his mansion in a parade of wagons. He enjoyed many happy years, focusing on his business in Savannah during the colder months, but escaping to Nova Scotia for the summers. He loved his time in Atlantic Canada so much that he made arrangements to have his body sent back to Nova Scotia and buried in Darling's Lake Cemetery when he passed away, which happened in 1920. His wife Lois passed away in 1927 and was buried alongside him. Their daughter Lottie lived until 1971. Not much is known about her later years, but she spent 4 years in a sanatorium before passing away in 1971, so we can assume they were not the happiest. And I know that sanatorium is not a currently used term, but just using it since that's the terminology
Of course.
they would have used in her experience. So, as a folklore podcast, we can't ignore the sinister rumors that did exist about the family. One is that Aaron and Lottie were closer than a father and daughter niece should be, if you catch my drift. There was also talk of the time of a servant being murdered at the mansion and it being hushed up by the local officials.
Ooh.
Now, on that note, we're going to get into the spooky stuff.
Now we're getting into the spooky stuff?
Just wait.
Okay.
Over the years at the Anchorage, there have been many reports of the classic signs of a haunting. Cold spots, abrupt temperature shifts, and doors opening and closing on their own. People have heard loud, thumping footsteps traveling up and down the halls. Now, on a more chilling note, people have reported feeling like a presence has touched them. One person even reported that they felt like a hand reached into their chest to squeeze their heart, only letting go moments before they passed out.
That's something.
Right. Now, there have been many apparitions spotted around the mansion. Some have seen an apparition they think is the spirit of Captain Churchill, either on the Widow's Walk, where he used to take his coffee, or in the nearby cemetery, where most of his family is buried and he was known to stroll throughout the days. Now, multiple women who stayed at the inn did feel like this male spirit had a mischievous air to him, and some have reported feeling his unwanted presence in their bed at night.
Oh.
Yeah, so not ideal. That's where a bit of that kind of sinister reputation sneaks back.
Why is it always that woman ghosts are either like harmless or helpful, or if anything, just sad, and male ghosts are always just like the worst?
Yes, because we found the same thing in the first Maritime University Ghosts episode at St. FX, where the blue nun was relatively peaceful, but the red priest was
kind of sinister.
Yeah, had a real mean energy. The other apparition seen at the Churchill mansion is a woman in white. She's suspected to be the spirit of Lottie. She has been seen walking down the halls of the mansion, sitting in a rocking chair, or walking down the road towards the mansion. So, what I'm wondering, is it possible that she doesn't just walk down the road towards the mansion, but hangs out on the very close by Darling's Lake?
I was wondering if it could be either Lottie or even his wife, who are the lady of the lake there, but...
Yes, it makes you wonder.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's a legend in the mansion that it's bad luck to move the portrait of Lottie, and there's increased paranormal activity if it's been even so much as adjusted to level it out.
Oh, wow.
So I certainly wouldn't be moving it around.
I don't always have the best concept of when a picture is level, so I wouldn't want to do that anyways.
That's it. Evan's not the man for the job. Darling's Lake is a paranormal hotspot, with numerous spirits spotted throughout this seaside community. Will they ever find rest? Only time will tell. So what did you think about those ghost stories?
I mean, they weren't quite as spooky as some of them. I don't want to go and stay there, I don't think. You haven't increased my chances of going to Darling's Lake.
That's it. So I guess don't tell us if they still are currently accepting bookings.
We'll see. I mean, if it has a comfy bed, I'll hang out with the guy ghost in the bed and...
Evan will take that hit for us.
Exactly.
Now, before I go into our segment for today's episode, I did want to say that tune into our next week's Maritime Mini, because I will be chatting about Darling's Lake a little bit more in that one. So,
ooh,
something to look forward to.
I will be.
Now today, as our longtime listeners would know, we always share what we call a folklore fact at the end of each episode. So today I'm going to quiz Evan on a few of the folklore facts we shared in past episodes to see if he remembers what these Nova Scotia superstitions mean. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So what does it mean if you are born on a bed of goose feathers?
That you're a silly goose.
Well, that, but also that you're a lifelong wanderer.
I remember seeing all these and I'm like, oh.
Now, what will rocking an empty cradle do?
Doesn't that mean that you either won't have a baby or it will cause harm to a baby?
It does, that you'll hurt a baby.
Well, I don't want to do that.
No, you don't. That's why we're revisiting these. What will a child born with 2 back teeth become?
A biter.
I wouldn't want to breastfeed that one.
Yeah, I think it was a poet?
It was one of our more random folklore
Yeah,
facts
that was a weird one.
from the Parker Road Phantom episode.
Mm-hmm.
What does it mean if your right hand itches?
That you, I know this. I don't know it. It's like you have a sense of adventure or something.
It means you'll meet a stranger, which is adventurous in and of itself.
I guess so.
Now our final one, and this is from one of your episodes on Oak Island. What does it mean if you dream about a shovel?
That you're going to find treasure?
You'll earn great riches. So I'd say
Yes,
that's the
yeah.
same thing. Well, thank you so much for joining us for this episode of It Came From The Maritimes. You can find us on social media, on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at It Came From The Maritimes, on X and Blue Sky at ICFT Maritimes. And if you have any Atlantic Canada folklore you would like to see covered in future episodes or any spooky encounters of your own, please email us at itcamefromthemaritimes@gmail.com. If you enjoy our podcast, please leave us a 5-star review to help other folks find us. Evan, do you have a folklore fact for today's episode that you can then forget the meaning of?
I do. If a dish towel falls and lands spread out, it's a sign that a woman is coming. But if it lands rolled up, a man is coming.
My goodness, with all the male and female apparition activity in the Churchill Mansion, I feel like they must get a lot of both.
I was about to say, I'm going to throw mine a little wider, so hope that the creepy guy doesn't show up.
Thank you so much for listening.
Bye.